Ladies and gentlemen, now listen up because I'm going to tell you something you need to hear. I don't care who you are or where you're from. This is important. When you walk through life without the companionship of friends, you're not just alone, you're adrift, wandering without a clear sense of direction or purpose. It's not just about having someone to talk to when you're bored or celebrating the good times, it's about having people who serve as anchors for your life. Friends are your compass. They give you the guidance you need when you're lost and help you stay on course when the storm hits. In this world, we often talk about being strong, about standing on our own 2 feet, about being independent. And don't get me wrong, those things are important. But there's a big difference between being independent and being isolated. Isolation is a slow killer, and over time you'll begin to feel it. The emotional toll that comes from carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders without someone to help shoulder it with you, it's crushing. When a man has no friends, it's easy to convince himself that he's self-sufficient, that he doesn't need anyone. But I'm telling you, the truth is, every single one of us needs human connection. Every one of us needs someone who can hold us accountable, someone who can remind us of who we are when we forget. Without friends, you can lose touch with who you really are, and before you know it, you're trapped in a life of silent struggle. You start to question everything. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Do I matter? And the worst part is that no one is there to give you the answers. Think about the hardest moments in your life, the ones that tested your spirit, that shook you to your core. Maybe it was a failure, maybe it was loss, or maybe it was loss. Maybe it was just a season when life seemed to pile up on you. Who was there to help you pick up the pieces? Who was there to remind you that you're not alone? The truth is, we all need someone to lean on. A friend is not just a companion, they're a reflection of you. A true friend mirrors your struggles, understands your pain, and is there not just to celebrate the good times, but to help you navigate through the bad. Without friends, you are walking through the world like a blind man, relying solely on your own sense of direction. But with friends, with good friends, now you've got a support system. You've got people who help light the way. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. A man with no friends is a man who has lost his sense of direction. He's walking down a road that he might not even realize is the wrong one. He's fighting battles without anyone to help him strategize and without anyone to help him get back up when he falls. Life is hard, folks, but it's much harder when you face it alone. So don't you dare tell yourself that you don't need anyone. We all need someone. Even the strongest among us need the people we can trust to help us see clearly and push us forward. A man without friends is not just disconnected, he's a man who's fighting the war of life by himself, and that's a battle no one should face. When we think about strength, we often picture someone who stands tall, unwavering, and untouchable. The world teaches us that strength means being tough, never showing weakness, and keeping our emotions in check. It tells us that we should never cry, never falter, never admit we don't have it all together. But that's a lie. True strength, real power, doesn't come from hiding our pain or pretending we have all the answers. No, strength comes from vulnerability. Now, I know that word vulnerability makes some people uncomfortable. We've been trained to believe that if we let people see our weaknesses, if we let them see the cracks in our armor, we'll be judged, rejected, or worse, seen as weak. But let me tell you, this strength is found in allowing yourself to be seen, imperfections and all. True strength doesn't come from building walls around yourself. It comes from being brave enough to break those walls down and let people in. When you're vulnerable, you're saying to the world, I'm not perfect, but I'm still standing. I have weaknesses, but I still fight. And despite everything I've been through, I'm still here and I'm still human. That takes more courage than pretending to be invincible. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness, it means courage. It means that you trust someone enough to let them see who you really are, even when it's not pretty. And that's what makes us human. That's what connects us. Think about it. Who do you truly admire in life? Who do you look up to? Chances are, it's not the person who hides behind a facade of perfection. It's the one who's not afraid to show their scars, the one who's been knocked down but keeps getting back up, the one who is real about their struggles and doesn't pretend to have it all figured out. The people we admire are the ones who have been through the storm and still stand with their heads held high, not because they are invincible, but because they've dared to be vulnerable. And let me tell you something else, vulnerability builds connection. You can't build real relationships by pretending to be something you're not. We all have our flaws, our struggles, our fears. The people who will stand by you, the ones who will fight for you, are the ones who know who you really are. Not the perfect version of you, but the raw, unfiltered, messy, and human version of you. Those are the friends who will truly be there when the going gets tough because they know your heart, they understand your pain, and they're not afraid to embrace you even in your weakest moments. But here's the catch: vulnerability requires trust. It requires you to open up and take a risk. And that's scary, I get it. But I promise you, the rewards are worth it. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you not only open the door to deeper connections with others, but you also open the door to your own personal growth. You allow yourself to face your own demons, to confront your fears, and to grow stronger as a result. Because you can't heal what you don't acknowledge. You can't fix what you're too afraid to face. Vulnerability means accepting that you don't have to be perfect. It means saying, I don't have it all figured out. And that's okay. It means letting down the armor and allowing others to help you, support you, and love you. And when you do that, you'll discover something amazing. The people who love you for who you truly are, scars and all, are the ones who will never leave your side. Loneliness isn't just the absence of people around you, it's the absence of connection, of genuine human interaction that feeds your soul. And let me tell you this, the price of loneliness is steep. You think you can handle it. You tell yourself you don't need anyone, that you're fine being alone. But eventually, that isolation will cost you far more than you can afford. You see, loneliness is a silent thief. It doesn't rob you of material things or physical possessions, no. It takes something much more precious: your peace of mind, your happiness, your emotional and mental health. At first, you may not notice it. You might think you're just being independent, or that being alone allows you to focus on what really matters: your work, your goals, your ambitions. But over time, the toll of loneliness begins to eat away at you, slowly and quietly. It creeps in, and before you know it, you're left asking yourself the hardest questions. Why do I feel so empty? Why do I feel like something's missing in my life? The truth is, we are social creatures. We are built for connection. We need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And when that need isn't met, when we have no one to turn to, no one to share our joy or our pain with, something inside us begins to wither. Studies have shown that loneliness can lead to depression, anxiety, and a whole host of other emotional and physical health problems. It affects not just your mind, but your body. It can lead to weakened immune systems, heart disease, and chronic stress. It's a heavy burden to carry, and it's one that no one should bear alone. What people don't always understand is that loneliness isn't just about being physically alone. You can be surrounded by a crowd, even have acquaintances, and still feel like you're the only one in the room. That's the real danger of loneliness, the feeling of disconnection. And that disconnection will eat at you over time. It'll make you question your worth, your value, your place in the world. It'll make you feel like you're invisible, like you don't matter. And that's a dangerous place to be. When you're isolated, you begin to lose perspective. You begin to lose track of what really matters. Without the input of others, without feedback, without the balance that friends and loved ones bring into your life, you're left alone with your own thoughts, which in many cases can turn negative. You start to spiral, and before you know it, you've convinced yourself that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of love, that you're not worthy of friendship. The emotional cost of loneliness can even distort your view of the world. You become jaded. You start to see everyone as a potential source of rejection, and you close yourself off even more. The problem is that fear of rejection, that self-doubt, only makes the loneliness worse. It's a vicious cycle. You pull away because you're afraid of being hurt, and in the process, you end up hurting yourself even more. But here's the thing: you don't have to pay the price of loneliness. You have a choice. You can make the decision to open yourself up, to allow others into your life, to break down the walls that loneliness has built around you. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. But when you start reaching out, when you start making those connections, you'll begin to feel the weight lift off your shoulders. You'll start to understand that you are worthy of love, you are worthy of friendship, and you are not alone. Let's not sugarcoat it. The price of loneliness is high. But the price of making the effort to connect with others is so much lower, and the rewards are immeasurable. It's worth every moment of discomfort, every moment of fear, every moment of vulnerability. Because in the end, the people you connect with will remind you of your own value. They'll help you see yourself through their eyes, and you'll realize that you were never truly alone to begin with. True friendship is not something that comes easily. It's not something that you can find at the snap of your fingers or buy with material wealth. Real friendships are forged over time, tested by fire, and built on the foundation of trust, loyalty, and sacrifice. And here's the thing: if you're looking for a friendship that's free of conflict, free of challenges, and free of hard work, then you're looking in the wrong place. because true friendship isn't easy. It's not always convenient, but it's always worth it. Friendship, the kind that lasts, requires effort. It requires you to show up, even when it's hard. It requires you to be present for someone, not just in their moments of triumph, but in their moments of struggle as well. You see, anyone can be around when things are good. That's not hard. But when the storms hit, when life gets messy, when the chips are down, that's when you find out who your real friends are. That's when you see who's willing to stand beside you, even when it means getting dirty or uncomfortable. True friendship doesn't come with a guarantee of smooth sailing. There will be disagreements. There will be moments where you don't see eye to eye. There will be times when you hurt each other intentionally or unintentionally, and it feels like the world is about to come crashing down. But that's the moment where the true value of friendship reveals itself. It's in those moments when both of you decide not to walk away, not to throw in the towel, but to work it out, to understand each other's point of view, to apologize and forgive. That's when you learn what it really means to be a friend. Friendship requires vulnerability. You have to be open with your friend, to share your fears, your struggles, your dreams, and yes, even your flaws. It's not about putting on a perfect face or trying to be someone you're not. It's about showing up as your real, unpolished self. And when you do that, it allows the other person to do the same. That's where the bond grows, when you realize that both of you can be imperfect, yet still stand by each other through thick and thin. But let me be clear, friendship isn't a one-way street. It's a two-way commitment. Both people have to put in the work. Both have to be willing to show up, to listen, to support, and to challenge each other. That's what makes a friendship strong. It's mutual respect and effort. Sometimes it's about sacrificing your own comfort for the sake of the other person. It's about being willing to give, even when you don't feel like it, because you understand that in the long run, it'll come back to you. And yes, sometimes the price of friendship is high. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it means having difficult conversations or facing uncomfortable truths. But the rewards, oh, they're priceless. A true friend will stand with you when the world is against you. They'll have your back when everyone else turns away. They'll celebrate your victories, but they'll also mourn your losses. They'll be the ones to pick you up when you've fallen, to push you forward when you want to give up, and to remind you of your worth when you forget it yourself. That's the kind of friendship that's worth fighting for. It's not easy. It's not always fun. But when you find it, when you experience it, you'll realize that it's one of the most valuable things you can have in life. It's the kind of bond that can withstand the test of time, the kind of relationship that can weather the storms of life because both people are committed to making it work. Fear is a powerful thing. It can keep you up at night, cloud your judgment, and even prevent you from taking risks that could change your life. And when it comes to building relationships, fear can be a crippling force. Fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of getting hurt, all of these things can create walls around your heart, making it nearly impossible for anyone to get in. But here's the truth, fear will keep you isolated if you let it. And in the end, the only thing you have to fear is the fear of staying alone forever. I get it. It's scary to put yourself out there, to open your heart, and to allow others to see the real you. We've all been hurt at some point in our lives. We've all experienced betrayal, rejection, or the sting of a friendship that didn't turn out the way we expected. But here's something I want you to remember. You can't let past pain dictate your future happiness. If you allow fear to keep you from reaching out, to keep you from making connections, you're missing out on one of the greatest gifts life has to offer, the gift of friendship. Fear of rejection is one of the biggest obstacles people face when it comes to building relationships. You worry that if you open up, if you take a chance, the other person might turn you away, or worse, laugh at you. But what if I told you that every single person you meet is carrying their own set of fears? What if I told you that the very people who seem so confident, so put together, might be just as afraid of being rejected as you are? The truth is, most people want to connect. They want to be seen, to be understood, to be accepted. And they're just waiting for someone to take the first step. So why not let that someone be you? Fear of vulnerability is another powerful barrier. You don't want to let people see the cracks in your armor, the parts of yourself you're not proud of, because you think that'll make them think less of you. But listen closely, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with realness. They connect with those raw, unpolished, vulnerable moments that show who you truly are. So don't be afraid to show your true self. Your struggles, your dreams, your flaws, these are the things that make you human, and they are what will draw others to you. And let's not forget the fear of getting hurt again. You might have been let down by a friend in the past, and now you're afraid to trust again. But here's the hard truth: you can't live your life in a shell, afraid to be hurt. Yes, you might face disappointment again. Yes, people might let you down. But the alternative is much worse: a life lived in isolation, a life without the joy and support that real friendships bring. And let me tell you this: every meaningful connection in your life has come with some level of risk. Every relationship, every bond is built on trust. And that trust requires you to take a chance. The risk of being hurt is always there, but so is the reward of finding someone who will stand by you, someone who will care for you, someone who will be there when you need them most. So don't let fear paralyze you. Don't let fear dictate your future. Take the first step. Reach out to that person you've been thinking about. Send that message, make that call, or show up to that social event, even when every fiber of your being tells you to stay in your comfort zone. You can't let the fear of the unknown stop you from creating the connections that could change your life. Take the leap. Let go of the fear that's holding you back and open yourself up to the possibility of real, meaningful friendships. When you let fear rule your life, you close yourself off to the beautiful, messy, and wonderful experiences that come with connecting with others. But when you face that fear, when you choose courage over hesitation, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. Fear is always going to be there, but don't let it stop you from experiencing the richness of life that only comes through friendship.